This is Meltdown Live, presented by MyBookie.ag. Use code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag for double your initial deposit. You sign on to make a deposit, they double it with code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag.
Welcome in, everybody. This is the Meltdown. We are live here with you. So happy to be here with you live on this Monday, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern, every single weekday as we are broadcasting live from the Culver studio. I wasn't picking my nose or anything, was I, Tyler?
No, you were good. I was just completely brain dead and forgot to give you any kind of countdown or notification that we were even streaming.
It's perfectly okay. I should know, hey, it's 2 o'clock. I should start talking into this microphone. We do have a Meltdown countdown happening today. Tyler's going to be leading that, talking about the 5 nominees for Best Lead Actor in a Motion Picture at the Oscars. He's going to be ranking them from what he feels like is the 5th best performance all the way up to the very best performance. And what makes this difficult is there's not a bad performance in the bunch.
Right. You've got to decide like what's the worst out of the greatest acting we've seen this year.
Yeah, and this year's incredibly strong in the lead actor department, and one that is almost impossible to predict how it's going to go. And I can't wait to get into that conversation here later in the show. But I do want to introduce as well, here live in the Culver studio, the one, the only EG, who is with us. EG, how was your weekend?
It was great. It was wonderful. Lots of celebration to be had. And I can now actually say who got engaged because the cat is out of the bag. Mikey's twin sister got engaged to Ben Joyce, and they're very happy. It's very sweetness. So they just posted about it today.
Mikey has a twin sister. That's something
Yeah.
I've learned here.
Yeah.
That's an important distinction there. I know a few twins, and a few are brother sister twins as
Yeah.
well. So that's always interesting.
And Ben is a twin.
Ben is a twin as well?
Yeah. So they married twins. I
This
know.
is like a Inception or something. I'm
Right.
trying to wrap my head around this whole thing. But
Now he has a twin brother and they're identical. And then obviously Anna and Mikey are not identical.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. There's nothing wrong with being a twin.
No.
I don't know. I've always found it interesting when someone marries into twins, especially when they're a twin themselves.
That's a lot of twins taking place right there.
It's a lot of twinning. Okay. Thank you for giving us that
You're
update there. I
welcome.
hope that the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito movie Twins is in our mystery box this week because that would be awesome.
That would be
That would be
incredible.
such a good pull.
Yeah.
That should probably
That
belong
should have been on
We
the
can add it.
boards.
I'm not opposed to that at all.
Okay. Do we have a shot of the list, by the way? This is what we want out of our DVD mystery box at some point. And I have been running through some of the DVDs that I've been getting.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I've been
How
watching them.
many?
So this weekend I watched 4.
Interesting.
I watched 4 of them. So that's more than one a day. And I will be giving my reviews of said films here.
Well, can't
So
wait.
that'll be a lot of fun. But I want to get right into a review that I have been awaiting from the one and only Tyler Lionel Johns, and it has to do with the #1 movie in the country right now. It made $12 million this weekend, and it is Flight Risk. And even if this is a movie that you didn't know much about, it piques your interest a little bit because Mark Wahlberg has a terrible haircut in this.
Ooh.
It is awful.
It's directed by Mel Gibson, who has done some of the best movies of the past 30 years. He's directed some of the best movies of the past 30 years, just putting it out there. And he's on a little bit of a comeback tour. It has Topher Grace in it. I love a little Topher Grace sort of side part in any movie. We saw Heretic last year that had Topher Grace, and I thought that was a pretty decent movie. So there's a lot on paper that I think works for this. Plus, it looks just like a thrill ride. It looks fun. It looks like Con Air almost. It kind of has this sort of fun action feel to it. Tyler, you walked out of this movie and I could see the life leaving your eyes. What happened?
So the trailer shows like it being really tense and just an intense thrill ride the whole way through. The movie is none of that.
Mm.
The movie is very jokey and unserious throughout the entire story. Like they'll stop to make little quips. And Topher Grace is by far the worst person in this movie.
What a
Uh,
name.
eh,
Topher Grace.
you might know him as Eric Foreman from That 70s Show. Or maybe not.
I don't think EG was a That 70 Show fan. If I had to
No, I
guess.
thought that was a girl that you guys were talking about this whole time.
No, the EG.
Sorry.
Welcome into this pop culture podcast, by the way. We're so thrilled to have you here. But no, Topher Grace was in That 70 Show. He was in Spider-Man 3, which I don't think you saw either. And he was in Take Me Home Tonight, which was a movie that Tyler is nodding his head going, I don't
I've
know
never
what
seen
that is.
that.
So, what was so bad about him in this film?
It's really not Topher Grace's problem. It's the lines he's given.
Okay.
Like, at one point, "Did you poop?" is a joke. I
Ooh.
don't know why.
That's the one you pull for the show. I mean, there wasn't another joke.
I mean, there were other awful ones, but it's just
Okay.
it is
Alright.
demoralizing going through this movie because you're promised a thrill ride. Mel Gibson has made very solid action movies in his career,
Absolutely.
both in front of the camera and behind it,
Yep.
and this just sucks. Here you go, Hunter. This is cheeks out of 5. This is unwatchable. It is the worst Mark Wahlberg performance I've ever seen. I'd rather watch him run around with the Dinobots than in this movie, with his garbage Clint Howard looking haircut. And then on top of that, Topher Grace isn't given anything to work with. He's somehow less funny in this than he is in That 90s Show, which just got canceled. And there's any time where tension can build,
Yeah.
they have to cut it with a joke. There's never a moment where you're allowed to think, "Oh, something might go wrong at some point in this movie."
So potentially by the end of the year, you will state that this was the most unfunny movie of
Oh,
2025.
this was painfully unfunny.
Yikes.
So tonally way off, missed the mark.
Yeah.
I will say to back you up, even though it's the number one movie in the country right now, Flight Risk,
It's getting ripped.
21% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
The cinema score is a C, which is horrendous for cinema score. Even some of the worst stuff in the world gets a B, but it got a C, which is basically exit polling after some audience members have left the theater. So people were ripping this apart. But it's not even fun in like it's so bad it's fun
No,
kind of way.
no, it's more like that sort of Craven level where it's just bad. It's not so bad bad it's fun. Like a Madam Web or The Room or I don't know, Starship Earth or Battleship Earth, whatever the Scientology John Travolta movie was.
Battleship Earth.
And it's not even a Mac and Me. It's just painful to get through.
Right.
And yes, Hunter, this is worse than the 2001 Tim Burton Planet of the Apes. I didn't think it was possible.
Around how long is this movie? Is it like an hour and a half, 2 hour?
It's a solid 90 minutes.
Okay,
Okay.
still too long.
It's still too long. Like the pacing is horrendous.
Well, that stinks. I was hoping for something fun there that you could come in today and be like, "Hey guys, I mean, this is like a fun little like I wanted like a carry-on." Does that make sense? Like I wanted that feeling.
So after during this movie, like right after walking out, I just thought this should have gone to Netflix and Carry On should have gone to theaters.
Oh,
So I would have had a blast watching Carry On in theaters.
interesting.
This is just some slop you can turn on when you want to take a nap
Ugh,
on a lazy day and like
Yeah.
kind of half watch a
That
movie.
kind of sounds nice right now.
it does.
It's a nice experience, but I wouldn't say somebody go pay for movies that fit that experience.
EG would rather be napping than talking about this movie, and that's fair
That's fair.
because
Yeah.
Tyler would be as well, probably. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Tyler. It is a movie that reeks of it being a streaming movie to begin with.
Yep.
The fact that it falsely brought in people and delivered them a piss poor experience, I hate that for anybody because these are the type of movies that if they do draw people in and people go, oh, that was such a ripoff, they're less
Mhm.
likely to come back to the theater to watch something that is actually good that you
Yes,
recommend.
exactly.
So true.
Exactly. This hurts the entire theatrical experience.
Wow.
It does. It's number one in the country. It's got star power behind it. Mark Wahlberg, Mel Gibson. I mean, just those two names alone, a Mark Wahlberg movie with Mel Gibson directing is enough to bring in a core audience there. But it does feel like Mark Wahlberg has sort of gone the route of like action Adam Sandler, meaning like it's not about quality, it's about quantity, and it's about can I make this movie under my terms? Like, can it be close to home? can I be with my family during this, which is great. I mean, I love family values and all that, but it does feel like there's a lot
Will
of great.
production pay Wahlburgers for the catering?
I feel like these are more business deals than actual cinematic events that we're seeing. Does that make sense?
I
Yeah.
would agree with you
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Like,
Interesting.
I think Mark Wahlberg has taken the approach that people will show up for anything, or they'll at least click play for anything. So quality doesn't matter. It's just about how many of these can I sort of dish out. And that's going to hurt his brand in the
If
long
as
term.
it's just gonna be schlocky action
Yeah.
movies and then the sort of inspirational sort of
Mhm.
movies,
Yeah.
like, Founder's Day or Arthur the King.
Yes. I feel like that is the case. It
Or
seems like,
no, was I'm getting that movie wrong, not Founder's Day, the one about the Boston bombing.
yeah, so that was what was that movie?
Founder's Day was a horror movie.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. This was the procedural of
Patriots Day.
Patriots, which I
Patri
actually think was not a bad movie.
It's not bad at
It's not
all.
bad at all. But what you got in the promise of Mark Wahlberg in The Departed has not been fully capitalized on.
No.
That artistic momentum that he had coming out of that performance has not been
This
something
isn't
that's
even
been.
as good as Mark Wahlberg in Ted 2.
Oh, wow. That's tough there. I really like Ted 1, by the way.
Ted 2's good as well.
It's okay. It's okay. It's
Ted 1 is better.
Ted 1 is fresher, and comedy sequels, they tend to struggle there. But
Did
anyway,
you ever see the Ted series
I
on
did not.
Paramount
I've heard
Plus?
good things, though.
It's pretty solid.
Yeah. I have had so little time for television.
Me too.
I've mainly been movie centric, and
Mhm.
even movies at home. A lot of people that watch TV at home, maybe movies at the theater, or movies that they can just sort of put it up as background noise on Netflix and all these other streaming services. But Flight Risk, they're number one theatrically, which says a lot about the rest of the box office offerings, because a lot of them are holdovers from Thanksgiving and Christmas. I mean, it still pretty much dominates what's made up the top 10 here. Mufasa in the number 2 spot with 8.7 million. One of Them Days, a comedy that Tyler has championed as actually being a fresh and fun experience. It's there at the number 3 spot with $8 million. You love the Sonic franchise. It remains there in the top 5 at the number 4 spot. Moana 2, which feels like it came out
A
an
million.
eternity ago, is there at the number 5 spot.
I feel like we got that last summer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while there. Moana 2 and Mufasa both very guilty of being generic Disney sequels, or prequels, I should say.
Makes them perfect for people to just take the kids to on a weekend. Doesn't have to be opening weekend,
Yeah.
doesn't have to be any time in particular, just whenever you got time.
Yeah. Does it look pretty? Okay, that's pretty much the extent of those
Mhm.
movies. Presence, which is a film, it's a horror film shot from the perspective of a ghost inside of a suburban home.
What?
Yeah, I know, not an EG movie, but I'm interested about it. It was released by Neon, and it was acquired out of last year's Sundance. It was made for just $2 million this past weekend at the number 6 spot at 3.4 million. So this is going to be a financial winner. Wolfman dropped 70% week over week,
Wow.
That's
Horrible.
rough.
and it's still in 3,300 theaters, over 3,300 theaters. The fact that it dropped 70%, and it's one of the more wider releases right now.
Those are some empty theaters.
The word of mouth on Wolfman. I mean, I knew it was going to be bad after having seen the movie,
Mhm.
but I mean, like lead balloon bad is what Wolfman's at.
Silver Bullet bad.
Silver bullet bad. It's not a movie that has to make a ton of money to be financially okay, but it's a creative misfire where the second half of Wolfman is awful.
I'll tell you a way you can spend even less money and make the audience happier. Instead of playing Wolfman, just swap it out for like 1954, I think. Creature from the Black Lagoon.
I'll take it.
I'll take it. A
I'll
lot
take it.
better than this garbage.
We have our review up of Wolfman, and I've tried not to think about it very much after the fact, but it's a bad experience. Second half especially is very disappointing. A Complete Unknown there at the number 8 spot. This is the Timothy Chalamet Bob Dylan movie, which I think is extremely generic, but is starting to pick up a little bit of momentum for a potential best picture push there at the Oscars. It's been nominated. James Mangold nominated for Best Director. But this is a extremely generic, safe movie for the Academy. And right now, there's so much controversy with The Brutalist and the AI campaign that's gone against them, and Amelia Perez being hot garbage and just sort of being there as a participation trophy sort of movie, that they're looking for something that could be sort of the one that takes the baton and runs with it. And could that be a complete unknown? Right now, it's a complete unknown. We go to, that was a horrible joke. Den of Thieves, Pantera at the number 9 spot, and then The Brutalist, which is a film that Tyler and I saw last week. We have our spoiler review up. It's the 4-hour movie with the intermission. Lance asked me to give him a review of The Brutalist last week of whether or not it was really good. And I think it is really good. And today I asked him, "Did you see The Brutalist?" And he said, "I'm not going to go to the theater and watch The Brutalist. Like, it's just too long of an experience. I'm not going to a 4-hour experience at
He
the movie
did
theater."
finally see Nosferatu, though.
He did, and we give him credit for that. But he's like, "I'm going to watch The Brutalist at home." So who knows how long it'll take for The Brutalist to wind up at home. I would assume sometime in February you're going to be able to stream it
Yeah.
because they want to get that momentum once again going into the Oscars presentation there. So there we have it with the top 10, all being led there by Mark Wahlberg's Flight Risk, which Tyler has called cheeks out of 5. So
Absolutely garbage. Don't know how that is somehow the worst Mark Wahlberg movie I've ever seen. It was painfully bad. Just not worth anyone's time. I mean that really killed my energy for today's show.
I can tell you're hurting there, and we're going to pick it back up here because
We
I've
are.
got some DVD reviews to get to. So every week we have a DVD mystery box. E.g., you've become addicted to the DVD mystery boxes.
Yeah, I have, and I've no shame on that.
Every day you walk in, "Oh, is today box day?" And today is not box day. Tomorrow may be, Wednesday may be. We'll see. We'll see. It's going to be this week. We're going to
Okay.
try to do one a week. But why do you love that segment so much?
Well, we've talked about it, I feel like, the last couple episodes about my admiration and adoration for the segment. We talked about my buffet love, about how this is like the Meltdown's version of a buffet, but I think it's the conversations that come from it. They're so fun.
Mm,
We never know where the conversation will lead in the chat. Obviously, Hunter actually predicted one of the movies. That was crazy, Surf's Up. So I just like the unpredictability of it, but it's very light too.
we're building history too,
We are.
which I think is important. We've all three of us have been a part of every mystery box opening. And I'm really going to feel sad for you the day that you're assigned to go cover something in Tuscaloosa when we open up a mystery box and we don't have
know.
you here.
And that will happen.
It will.
It will.
And we're going to have to make peace with that.
And we'll somehow move on.
We will. But I've been actually watching these DVDs. I'm not just here opening them up. I'm a collector of physical media.
Where are you putting all of these? Just keep them in the box, stacking them up?
See, this is a great question that I don't want to answer that my wife may hear because then she'll be like, "No, you do not need to have them there." So right now they're in a very select corner of the home that's probably taking up valuable space where something else could be. But I'm going to eventually move them up into my office area. But right now I'm working through them because that's where I will watch the movies. So,
Smart.
yeah. But my hiding place is no longer going to be accepted, probably. Okay. I watched this movie Friday night with the family. We were looking for something fun. I came home, I told my wife, I said, "Let's do like an old school rental type night. I got all these DVDs. Like, let me take the little one. We'll go to the store, buy some popcorn,
Fine.
buy some snacks, come back, pop in a DVD,
I
all
love
get on
that.
the couch, watch the movie." And it was a huge hit.
Good.
My daughter was so excited. She spent a ton of money at the store. But she was so excited, and it was just like I remember sort of growing up. I mean, I loved Friday night, going to the movie store, picking out a couple of DVDs, going home, eating the snacks, watching the movie. And I wanted to give that experience to her because now everything's streaming and she's aware of that. But there was something special about actually being able to sort of physically hold
Yeah.
the DVD and sort of,
Going through the aisles in like Blockbuster, Movie
know,
Gallery, and then at the front they've got the little kiosk with the little bags of popcorn, and then like sometimes they would have like a little box of candy taped to the popcorn to like sell it as a bundle.
you're exactly right. I would always get the sour straws up there, but
It's a good choice.
I was a huge fan of the movie store. I mean, I would go to the movie store every day after school. That's where I
Really?
would go. I'd go to the movie store. I was like starring in my own Kevin Smith movie or something, but it was a lot of fun and I miss it very much. And what I didn't realize is doing this DVD mystery box would bring all those feelings back of like having these physical discs. Now,
Yeah.
the most stressful part about streaming services is number one, if you're looking for a specific title, trying to figure out which streaming
Oh,
service it's on.
it's awful.
That's frustrating. Number two, there's such an abundance of choices that you always feel like you're picking the wrong thing once you start it.
Yes, and then you also have in the back of my mind, "Oh, we can just restart something else. Like, if we don't like it, we'll just exit out."
Like you have no commitment level.
Uh-uh.
And when you put in the disc and you sit down and there's no other options to just click a button to go to, you feel very locked into, okay, I'm going to enjoy this experience. It's why Tyler probably enjoys the movie theater because once you're there, you can't just change it to whatever you want.
Right.
Exactly. I'll start something on streaming. Like there've been multiple times where there will be movies that I've been meaning to get to, and I'll start it, and then I'll just go,
Eh.
not today, not
Right.
today. And actually going to the theater forces me to say, today, now, I'm watching the whole thing through.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a great feeling. And I feel like if you're a true cinephile, you like that sort of challenge of I'm gonna sit down with this thing and I'm going to enjoy this one thing. And streaming services have really killed that vibe. I mean, it is more about quantity than quality. And even though some of them have great deep catalogs of stuff, you just don't feel compelled to watch something
No.
maybe from 35 years ago on a whim.
No.
But if you have the DVD in your hand, it just gives you an excuse to pop it in and have a good time. So we did that this weekend. I've watched 4 movies. I'm going to quickly run through those. I did these pretty much randomly except for the first one, but I have started a new process where since I have a whole bin of them, I will create a tournament of DVDs that I could possibly end up with at the end of the process. And I've started that last night, and now I'm sort of randomizing my random box to where I pick out something that I wouldn't necessarily pick.
I like that.
It's created a lot of fun. But 3 of the 4 movies I'm about to discuss are from the same year. 3 of the 4 movies came from the year 2002.
It's a
And
great year for movies, especially animated movies.
2002 was a strong year, and I'm going to get into what was a pretty much panned comedy that we had a ball with on Friday night as a family, and that is The Master of Disguise from 2002. Now, when you first think back to this movie, you probably think, "Oh my gosh, that movie was awful." But Dana Carvey, he's funny. Dana Carvey's a funny guy, and this movie is relying on Dana Carvey to carry the entire thing pretty much.
Turtle.
Yeah. Am I not turtly enough to be a part of the Turtle Club? Anyway, it's great. As a rewatch with your family, my wife and daughter laughed for long stretches during this. I loved it wasn't animated. I'm really me and my daughter, we've watched animated movies for the first 7 years of her life, pretty much, like just nonstop animated movies. And I'm really trying to get her into more live action stuff. And this is a live action experience, super quotable. It's goofy, but it has like tons of deep cut references to like Jaws, obviously, and Scarface. There's a whole scene there that's very funny. And I just think it works pretty well. And a lot of people may be like, well, that movie, it's hated by everybody and it's dumb and all this stuff. It made $43.4 million on a $16 million budget.
Holy cow.
So there's going to be people who look back and go, oh, that thing was a huge failure.
No, it wasn't.
No.
If a movie today with this premise came out for $16 million, which, by the way, The Brutalist cost $11 million to make.
Mhm.
The Master of Disguise, $16 million. Let's just look at that for a second. But 43.4 million. I consider that to be a big win for such a stupid movie. I mean, it is a stupid movie, but it was so much fun Friday night. They laughed the entire time. I thought it was funny. We had a great time.
Back then, you could also rely on DVD sales to bring in
Yeah.
extra revenue. You can't do
Correct.
that now.
You can't do that now. But tons of fun with that one, and it was a nice sort of throwback to a time where comedies existed. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Like, I yearn for the days where we had more movies like The Master of Disguise, with just like dumb comedies that are just in the theater and fun. And I guess Flight Risk is trying to be that now, but
No, see, that's the thing. It wants to be serious, but also joke the whole time.
Yeah.
That's
Mm.
Looking forward to Scary Movie 6. That's the next true comedy we're getting in the theaters.
That's probably correct. I gave The Master of Disguise a 3 out of 5 for the experience alone. I mean, it was just super fun and dumb, and I really do think if like me and Tyler and EG sat down to watch this, like y'all would cackle a couple of times. Like it's pretty funny.
Oh, I know I would.
It's
Got like a weird nostalgia for that movie
okay.
because so that was Warner Brothers, I believe, that released that.
I think it was Universal. I may be wrong.
I could be wrong, but I had a VHS tape of one of the Scooby Doo movies, and The Master of Disguise was a trailer on there. So
Oh.
I'm used to seeing that trailer.
So it was put out by Columbia Pictures and Sony Pictures. So
Okay, it was on my Stuart Little DVD then.
there we go. Now we know. Okay, a lot of fun there, Master of Disguise, and just stupid fun. Okay, we move on to this. By the way, Dana Carvey plays the role of Pistachio in that movie. That is his character's name.
I love pistachios.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, fun fact.
Yep. Big fan.
This is the 2011 movie I saw next. It is the movie Sanctum, executive produced by James Cameron. We pulled this out of the mystery box. And this, I remembered it as we went along. There was a spot there in like the 2010, 2011, 2012 where 3D became the rage again, whereas like things were marketed and you got to see this in 3D, it'll blow your mind. It's really anything post Avatar. I mean, just in that window of like, oh, 3D. And James Cameron, his name was all over this as executive producer. And I've learned that that means nothing. When you see executive producer James Cameron,
Just means they bankrolled it, right?
just means it's probably going to make money. Like it doesn't, it's creatively, it doesn't mean anything. Now, director James Cameron, that's a different story. But executive producer James Cameron is the way this was marketed.
Did executive producer James Cameron make them put it out in 3D too?
Yes.
James Cameron loves 3D.
This was one of those movies where you had to see it in 3D. And I remember skipping it, going, that looks dumb. And I didn't see it back in 2011. And I know now why. It is the stiffest movie when it comes to its acting. There's a boy in the movie who loses his father, and he's supposed to be like really sad and traumatized over it.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't make himself cry. And he's on camera and he's like blinking a lot. And you can tell he's thinking to himself, like, man, I wish just one tear would come out. And he can't get it out. And it like lingers on him way too long. And you can see the thought process running through his head. It's like, I should probably be crying right now. This is my father. We've been through a really horrific experience. He can't cry. It's got great set design, but very little is done with it. This is a cave diving movie. This is a cave exploring movie. And it's like The Descent, but without any of the good stuff. It's like take the monsters away, take the interpersonal turmoil really away, take sort of the great creepiness and sort of claustrophobia that The Descent has, and sort of just doesn't have that.
So just, hey guys, check out a cave.
Yeah, it's like if they made a documentary into a movie.
Oh.
And it's not good.
Mm.
But it made 108.6 million on a 30 million budget. Thanks to James Cameron, I guess, just striking gold again with the 3D gimmick, because all those seats cost more when it's 3D.
I don't love 3D. I've never been a fan of it. I thought Wicked being in 3D was awful.
I agree with you. 3D is the worst. It doesn't add anything to the movie.
I hate it too. And I hate even more than that the 4D showings that they're doing, where not only are you in 3D, but now your seat starts to shake and
Yeah,
stuff.
4DX.
And it like sprays things, or there's different scents that get pumped.
No, don't want any of that. Just give me a standard 2D movie.
I would like to try that for movies like Godzilla Kong. Like, because then it's just basically a theme park ride.
I don't want to try it at all.
Okay.
Tyler, you will be in complete agony walking out of one of those screenings. My brother-in-law went to go see Beetlejuice in one of those screenings. They had to walk out
The
because it was so
4D?
intense. Yeah. It's one of those like seats.
Uh-uh.
It's like,
Oh.
no, we got to go. So they went back and watched it in 2D and enjoyed the movie, but they had to walk out on it. I do wonder what the walkout rate is on those.
Smuff says, I prefer 4D. Muppets 4D. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Ryan Pavlik as well, probably really happy about that. Sanctum, a 1.5 star experience. One of the worst pulls that I've had in my mystery box. I think I have it ranked below
Failure to launch?
Failure to Launch. This right here, if it's ranked below this movie, It stinks. And so
That's your canary in the coal mine.
this is it. But this movie's awful, and I think Sanctum, I have it ranked one spot below. I've so far watched 10 of the DVDs we pulled, and if you want to follow that list, you can follow me on Letterboxd, where I'm keeping up with my entire journey of the 10 DVDs that I like. Okay, moving on to this. This one is the best of the whole weekend. It was from 2002, a movie called High Crimes. Now, I was craving sort of 90s courtroom thriller, courtroom drama, and I got it with High Crimes, even though it's from 2002. Ashley Judd and Morgan Freeman team up for a military court drama where Ashley Judd plays a high profile lawyer whose husband is convicted of war crimes. And he gets arrested and taken down in the street, and she quits her law firm to then go represent him in military court.
Oh.
Yeah, it was interesting. And it has a lot of twists, a lot of turns. Morgan Freeman plays an alcoholic lawyer who is really good at his
Ooh,
job.
I like
And
this.
he's really good at military court, which there's a whole documentary on the DVD about the differences between military court and civilian court, which is fascinating. It was like, that was interesting. There was a whole part of the DVD. You would have liked this,
Are you
EG.
going through all the special features? I just had a realization.
Yes, I'm going through all the special features.
Okay.
I think every time I review these, you ask me that question,
Yeah.
and I say, yes, I am. And you go like, that's
Whoa,
amazing.
whoa.
So, like, yeah, I'm giving it my all. I'm
All
like,
right.
that's the greatness of a DVD compared to like watching something on Netflix. You get access to all this extra bonus material. But they had a whole sort of DVD extra on how to possibly pass a lie detector test
Really?
under duress. And
Interesting.
I was thinking to
You
myself,
would
like,
find that interesting,
EG would
EG.
EG would eat this up.
I would. Interesting.
Have y'all ever like seen a lie detector test taken?
How do I get out of an American military tribunal?
Yeah.
My brother had to take a polygraph test because he wanted to go into the FBI to do forensic accounting. He failed.
You failed the polygraph?
Failed the polygraph. And Jake
Yikes.
is like, I don't know, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, Jake. But he's like the most upstanding, awesome, just great character. And he thinks that they made him think he was failing to put him under duress. And it worked.
They said they'll do that to you.
Yes, that
during the
happened to my
test.
brother.
But it'll test the sweatiness of your
Your-
fingers as well, and like whether or not you're
There's a-
sweating during it.
And like the chemical in your sweat, if it's like
Yeah.
normal sweat or stress sweat. Yeah.
They said in this the only people who can really beat a lie detector test, like truly, are spies, people,
Sociopaths.
like, yes, pathological liars, and agents of deception, which I was thinking like, oh, the master of disguise, which is possible. But anyway, it was very fascinating. But back to the movie. I miss movies like this. TV has become sort of the home for this type of setup of like courtroom drama, like did the husband do it sort of thing. It's got a young Adam Scott. It's got Jim Caviezel in there playing the husband. It's got Amanda Peet. They're rounding out the cast there from Carl Franklin. But this is a movie that I think a lot of people with the Ashley Judd Morgan Freeman team up that happened multiple times, they maybe have forgotten about High Crimes. I thought it was really good. It made $63.8 million on a $42 million budget, and I give it 3.5 stars. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
So that was a fun one from 2002. It's just the type of movie I was looking for. My final movie, and this has me less excited now for Brave New World, Captain America, Brave New World. I watched a Harrison Ford movie last night that won the random pull sort of playoff experience that I've set up. K-19 The Widowmaker came out in 2002. It's a submarine movie.
Okay.
In 1961, the Soviet Union launches its first ballistic missile sub, the K-19. But what happens is, on the sub, a lot of people die from radiation exposure, and a lot of horrible hijinks happen. If you put the Benny Hill music behind some of the death sequences in this, you'd have a good comedy. There's a doctor who's worried about certain medicine not being delivered by a certain truck, so he climbs out of the submarine and he's running down the street and he gets hit. He like gets turned in the street and then he gets hit by a truck and then run over, and then like everybody runs to him and they're like, he's dead. And then Harrison Ford's like, all right, Y'all stick here with the body until the ambulance gets here, but everybody else back to work. And that's it. And that's the whole thing. There's this whole sequence of this doctor sort of meandering around, getting hit by this truck. It's kind of goofy. Some of the, like, there's people falling all the time and hitting their heads, and there's people who get their hands caught in chains. And
Ooh, gross.
it's just like any way they could have weird death sequences in this movie, they came up with it. It's directed, though, by Catherine Bigelow. This movie has all the ingredients.
Didn't Catherine Bigelow make Point Break?
She did.
Oh, I saw that movie.
Different Point Break.
The Nirvana one?
The what one?
I don't know, EG.
They're reaching Nirvana. Point Break. There's like the old one and the new one.
So the old one has who in it?
I don't know. It's old, and they made a remake in like what 2015.
So you're talking about the new one?
Yeah.
Okay. The old one is the one everyone likes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The new one is looked at as being the worst that Hollywood can provide. That sort of like atmosphere.
I don't remember any of it, so
There you go.
fair enough.
No submarines in Point Break, but Catherine Bigelow delivers a much better film with Point Break because this movie has all the right ingredients. It's got Harrison Ford, it's got Liam Neeson, it's got Catherine Bigelow there behind the camera, and it's got pretty good effects, like prop work of the submarine breaking through ice and stuff like that. It's got great makeup effects, but it is one of the most joyless movies I've ever seen in my life. I mean, there's just nothing really riveting or exciting going on. Kind of got like a Remember the Titans sort of thing where there's two head coaches on that team and like one of them all the players like and the other one's kind of the hard ass. That's the way this is. Liam Neeson's the one that the whole crew likes and respects, but he's replaced by Harrison Ford, who comes in as this villain. And it has got the, e.g., you would just die. It's got the worst Russian dialect I've ever heard.
Oh,
And
you
like
guys know.
Harrison Ford plays proud American characters on screen
Yeah,
like 99% of the time.
agreed.
And he normally plays a good guy. Harrison Ford normally plays a good guy. There's a couple exceptions. But he plays a bad guy here that's sort of a halfway good guy, but he's mainly a bad guy. And he's a Russian. And it's odd seeing Harrison Ford sitting there commanding these
Russian?
submariners. Yes, it's
Yeah.
a strange situation. When you see Harrison Ford, do you see Russian there? I
No.
don't see that.
No, that's one of the great American icons.
I don't see Russian at all.
Yeah, it's really, the movie does not work, and it was released in the summer. They released it as this big summer blockbuster, and it tanked, man. It made $65.7 million on a $90 million budget. But one thing that's fun here, we talked about James Cameron here earlier. James Cameron used to be married to Catherine Bigelow. Catherine Bigelow won the Academy Award for 2008's The Hurt Locker. She won Best Director and the movie won Best Picture. That was the same year that Avatar from James Cameron was up for an Oscar. And I think he was also up for Best Director. So you want to talk about the ultimate revenge in a marriage that went south. That's the one right there where Catherine Bigelow got the big win in 2008, or really, I guess 2009, considering that's when the awards would have taken place. But K-19, The Widowmaker, I gave a 2 out of 5. It's got all the right ingredients, but once it comes out of the oven, it's not hardly edible. It's not a very good movie, not a fun movie. There's way better submarine movies. So I don't know if anybody's ever seen K-19, The Widowmaker, but that movie is so unfun. All right. It's now time to talk about a little bit of controversy that came out of the weekend.
Let's do it.
They released a Superman TV spot. And I don't know if you guys have seen the images of David Cornsweet,
Mhm.
who every time we say the name, it just doesn't feel natural or right.
Doesn't it? It's hard to roll off the tongue.
We all loved the Superman full-length trailer. The TV spot, though, has opened the door for some criticism because we get a shot of Superman flying through what looks to be maybe a Fortress of Solitude type area, and his face is a primary focus of the TV spot. And I'm telling you, I saw one commenter saying, one eye's on Metropolis, the other's on Gotham. And that's what it looks like to me. Like, it's a bad look. His face, something's not right.
Maybe it's supposed to be like he's flying so fast that like His face is
His
going
eye.
back. I don't know, the G-force.
it's and one of the eyes is also a lot brighter than the other. It looks like he has a false eye.
It's not good. I mean, I'm a defender of the movie, and I've bought up all the stock you can possibly buy up in this movie. I think it's going to be great. I also thought Joker 2 was probably going to be an all-timer. We saw how that went. Joker 2 was my most anticipated of 2024. Superman is my most anticipated of 2025. Tyler, I'm starting to prepare just based on this one shot. I'm starting to prepare to be heartbroken. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that that's an overreaction. Guilty.
It is.
Guilty. But this is not the strongest look. In my opinion, when you're trying to sell the movie,
Mm-mm.
it got a very sort of bad reaction from resident Superman fan Ryan Brown.
Mhm.
And he was like, "Oh, this doesn't look good. This looks awful. Like if they were trying to get me to go see Superman, I don't want to go see it after this." A lot of football fans, this was their first sort of view of Superman, and they're like, "What is this?" Brown said he thought it was something advertising something other than a Superman movie. That's not good.
No.
That's not good. Tyler, I want you to preach to me why this overreaction is an unhealthy thing to fall through.
All right, I'm gonna have a hot take here for you.
Oh, is this a Lionel Lenin?
No, not quite.
Okay.
It's just me being a contrarian. So if you think that this looks bad, just go back a few years back when Man of Steel was announced. We got to look at that. Ooh, that looked nice. Then we got to look at Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Ooh, that trailer was good.
First one.
Yeah, that very first one. Those movies were garbage. What, you can't be set up for failure like this. I mean, is it going to be the greatest thing we've ever seen? Is it going to bring back Superman? I don't know. We'll see. But I do like that I'm not having the false expectation of this will be awesome and then walking into another Zack Snyder stinker.
No. Yeah, you're approaching this in a very sane and healthy way. And I
Yeah.
want to commend you because I'm approaching it from the optimistic vantage point in that I am really rooting for the movie. I think it's going to be great. I believe in James Gunn. I believe in the bones of this film. And I love the trailer, the full length trailer. I just hate things that give me cause for concern. And this is one of those. Can we see the picture again? Because it's just not a strong looking Superman face. It's a very punchable face. It's a very
Oh,
full look. And I don't know how much of this was touched up with CG. Obviously, he's not flying through the air in real life. I get that before everybody starts to pummel me on that. What I mean is, how much of his face was doctored with computer enhancements because it
Well-
just looks unnatural.
they should have. Well, before I say that, I'm not going to say that. Never mind. I was going to say they need to touch up the forehead wrinkle, so they're going to do CGI.
There's nothing wrong with saying that, EG.
Well, I didn't want to offend anyone, but like if you're going to touch them up, at least get rid of the forehead wrinkles.
Yeah.
Because then you have one eye, like you said in Gotham, and then you've got 3 grooves in his forehead.
I don't know. It's just, it feels weak to me.
I
And-
want. Sorry,
No,
I want Superman as myself to be like, when I picture Superman, strikingly like handsome, right? Like I feel like that is something that's very understood. This is not strikingly handsome. This is, you have an eye problem.
this looks like a kid in local theater who thinks he's going to be a huge star. Like that's what I'm getting.
And I don't know if I love the cape either. Something the cape was kind of weird to me. I don't know.
I just look.
Am I the only one that actually likes the suit in this movie? In the
The
trunks?
suit. I don't have a problem with the trunks.
Okay.
I have a problem with the face,
I have a problem with the forehead wrinkles.
the eyes, and the fullness of the face. I just think it looks odd. It looks strikingly odd. And I hate it. I love the shot of him flying. You know, there's this shot where you're actually getting,
And he twists.
you're getting the twist, you're
Yep.
getting the cape action. It's almost like what we saw. I keep making this reference, like what we saw with The Force Awakens with the Millennium Falcon and the way it was going through all those different caves and stuff in the trailer that got you very excited when the Force Awakens trailer dropped during Monday Night Football, by the way. I mean, a lot of people were excited about that. They watched it live, and this dropped during football. I'm telling you, I've been saying it forever. I've been saying it probably for a year now. We're going to get a Superman trailer, full length, another trailer
For the Super Bowl.
for the Super Bowl. We're going to get one. And they're priming you up with this little AFC NFC championship
Yeah.
TV spot to get you there. So be prepared.
Yeah.
But we'll have a full reaction to the actual full trailer because that first one was a teaser trailer.
It was.
It was just a long teaser trailer. And
I love the little girl shot though, of him protecting the little girl. That's so good. And then
It's a good shot.
there were a couple, just a handful, like 2 or 3 new shots in this. Maybe 2.
uh-huh.
One
Mhm.
was Lex Luthor coming off of a jet.
Yes. He looked cool to me.
I think they got Lex right
I think they
I
did
agree.
too. I like that a lot.
from the look.
Yes.
Mhm.
The
But
shades.
if we're rooting for Lex over Superman in this movie, there's a problem.
There is. There is.
And I'm worried that people aren't going to be getting behind Corn Sweat because all those people who've made the argument that this is a huge step down from Henry Cavill, when I look at that shot of
Me
his
too.
face,
I agree.
that's the one thing where I'm like, okay, I concede this battle. You
Yeah.
guys win on this one.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
We'll see how much of that is even like in the final movie, though. Like that shot might not even get used.
Right.
True.
Or it might be a 2-second shot where you don't even really notice it.
All we
We'll see.
know, all we know at this point is the shot was used to market the film.
Yep.
We don't know in the context of the film if it's going to be an issue or if they're going to change it up or like you know better than most fans that when they release something that gets a lot of negative reaction, they got some time to fix it up. Sonic was a big part of that. Like they released that early.
They released it wasn't even an early teaser. That
Yeah.
was the full-length trailer. They said, "Let's go. We're starting a Sonic franchise." And the entirety of the internet, I've never seen this many people agree on one thing before. And we probably won't ever see it again because that Sonic design was awful.
And it changed the complete course of history for that franchise.
It
The
did.
fact that the people spoke and the majority of what I've seen is that they're on the side of this looks odd. So maybe they'll do something about it, but less of that, please. I do want to let you know that there's a bunch of Supermen located over on Grants Mill Road. Have you heard about this?
Tell me more, Tim.
Let me tell you, we encourage you to reach out to the dental team that we trust most. Yes, Dr. Jeff, Dr. Brian, and Dr. Nolan over at Alabama Dental Associates. They provide all sorts of services when it comes to staying on top of your dental health. Maybe you've been snacking on too much kryptonite and you have a couple cavities you need looked at. They can help you with that nagging toothache, or maybe you need to get on top of those regular cleanings. Preventative care matters there in the dental industry for sure. They are there for you. Maybe you're new in town, need to make sure you have a dentist on standby. Reach out and try Alabama Dental for yourself. They're accepting new patients now and can help you feel at ease about all of your upcoming dental procedures. For more information or to make an appointment, call them 205-956-8977 or visit alabamadental.com where they look forward to seeing you. It is now time for the part of the show that I'm most excited about. It is the Meltdown Countdown, and I have tasked Tyler with taking the 5 Academy Award nominees for Best Actor in a Leading Role, male actor in a leading role, and putting them from 5th to 1st. If he was an Academy voter, how would he vote? Because it's a tiered thing. Who would he vote 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st? Tyler, a couple things here real quick. In no particular order, I'm going to throw out who the 5 choices are for those that don't know. There's Adrian Brody from The Brutalist. There is Ralph Fiennes from Conclave. There is Timothy Chalamet from A Complete Unknown. There is Sebastian Stan from The Apprentice. And there is Coleman Domingo from Sing Sing. I've seen all 5 of these performances. Tyler has seen all 5 of these performances. What I really hope Tyler didn't do was just go through, and I don't think he did this, was just go through and rank his 5 favorite movies that these people are in. I hope he actually rated the performances. That's my hope, because the movies themselves don't matter as much as the performances within them in this category. And I thought all 5 performances were stellar this year. I don't think there's a bad performance in the bunch. Tyler, how did you approach the list?
So I started off the list by saying, what did I think was the best? Because it's a lot easier, I feel, to work from top down than worst to best when you've got these 5 just heavy hitter performances. So I ranked my number 1, and then things just started to fill in there. There's a little sort of internal debate on 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, but The movies were pretty easy to line up overall. So let's just get started with number 5 on my list.
Okay.
Sebastian Stan in The Apprentice.
Ooh.
Okay.
I thought this was a really good performance. I thought he was able to show certain sides of Donald Trump that you typically don't get to see. But at the end of the day, the movie just really didn't do anything for me emotionally or mentally, in the sense that I had something to really mull over on my ride home. It's just like, yeah, that looks like a really good Trump impression for the entire movie. And
Ooh, it sounds like you're kind of crapping on the
I
performance.
know.
well, I mean, it's just
It's fair to go ahead, but
it's good. It's good. I gave it 4 stars on my letterbox. But I mean, can I really say that this is the best performance of the year? No.
Okay.
I can't.
you gotta. Here's the thing: you gotta put somebody at 5. And I understand. For me personally, this performance would be at 3 of Sebastian Stan as Donald Trump because of
Okay.
how he evolves. What I find to be crazy about his performance in that movie is how the Trump mannerisms start to grow more and more throughout the duration of the film.
Interesting.
Like early on, you're like, okay, he kind of is like, it's kind of like a young Donald Trump, I guess. He's in the shadow of his father. He's trying to find his way. He's
Mhm.
collecting rent money. He's kind of disrespected.
He really finds the character by the end of the movie.
And let me tell you, it starts to tick up to where at moments I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, you nailed that. That hand gesture, that little nonverbal movement. I mean, just stuff like where we've seen so much Trump since 2016. I mean, really throughout our entire lives,
Yeah.
him being on TV so much. Sebastian Stan delivers an incredibly nuanced performance that moved it up to the number 3 spot for me personally. But I understand why he's at the number 5 spot for you because for a lot of people, he was the one that was not the lock.
Exactly. Jeremy Strong was the real standout for me in this
Mm.
film as Roy Cohn, and that's why I think Sebastian Stan just doesn't really shine as much in this movie, in my opinion.
Jeremy Strong also fantastic in the movie and got nominated for Best Supporting Actor there. So there we go. All right, let's move on to number 4.
Number 4, a movie we reviewed together, and a movie that I feel like nobody watched. That's Conclave, starring Ray Fiennes. Uh This is a solid movie, and Ray Fiennes is great in it. Without him in this performance, there is not a chance I am interested in the controversies between surrounding picking the newest pope. There's no chance I'm interested in how the pope electoral process goes or who might be cheating in that.
So this is another one where the movie's quality sort of affects the height of the performance for you as well.
It does, because there's plenty of other roles I'd just rather see Ray Fiennes in, but the fact that he was able to have me fully engaged for the entire runtime of the film in a subject where I just typically wouldn't be interested in going to see a film on my own, I think speaks volumes, and he does a great job in this film. I think it shows him as, like, stern, excuse me, but also very compassionate, um, and just really good in this movie. Really keeps the suspense going.
Yeah. I so for me personally, Ray Fiennes is also in the number 4 spot. Obviously I had Sebastian Stan there in 3 spot, but um he carries the movie for sure. I do think he's aided a lot by someone like a Stanley Tucci who comes in and throws some haymakers, which Stanley Tucci, I don't believe nominated for Best Supporting Actor in
I don't
this.
believe he is.
I guess he just didn't have enough of a punch, and people expect Tucci to sort of deliver those great monologues in
Mhm.
movies like these. Um, which shout out to Spotlight again from 2012, which is a fantastic performance there from Stanley Tucci and that whole ensemble. But yeah, Ray Fiennes there at the number 4 spot. I'm completely understanding of because you got to have somebody there to begin with, and it doesn't feel like his range may be tested as much as some of the other actors on this list.
Mhm.
Let's go ahead and move on to number 3.
Number 3, a movie that I absolutely loved this year. I thought it was a very emotional performance. There's a lot of range in this performance, and it's just got a real punch, and that's Coleman Domingo in Sing Sing.
I thought this would be higher for you.
I did too.
Interesting.
So the reason it does not rank higher for me is because there's so much other just high caliber talent surrounding Coleman Domingo that I think elevates his performance and at times steals a little bit of his thunder. So I really like Clarence Macklin in this movie, and really the entire cast of the Sing Sing inmates. They all delivered a great performance, truly authentic, given that they're all former convicts themselves. And yeah, I think this is a great movie, but unfortunately, I don't think Coleman Domingo really carries as much as he needs to for me to really prop him up as best actor.
So
But, he's fantastic in this movie.
I am glad you're
World
not.
class.
I'm glad you're not just judging based on how much you like the movie because you gave Sing Sing a 5 out of 5 when you first saw it.
Mhm.
Um, and for me, this is the weird take. I wasn't as high on Sing Sing, but I think Coleman Domingo. I've got him in my number 2 spot. You have him
Really?
in your number 3 spot. So I
Our
find that
2 and 3 might be flipped then.
I don't know because I had Sebastian Stan at 3.
Oh, yeah, that's
So I've
right.
got one of your top 2 as number 5 on my list. So we'll see if that works out. But um, Coleman Domingo is this is back-to-back years he's been nominated for Best Actor.
Mhm.
And I love Coleman Domingo. Like, I really think he's a fantastic talent,
He really is.
and I wanna see more of him. Like, anything he's in, I wanna see. He's got a Netflix show that's out right now that I cannot remember the name of, but it's, he is killing it there because commercially, not a lot of people have seen Coleman Domingo be in a lot of things.
I don't think he's a commercial actor
He's not.
either. I think he belongs in these more not necessarily indie, but smaller scale, just character dramas. I think that's where he shines.
He nearly quit the business altogether, and he did. I mean, he quit the business, and he was lured back in by this agent, and they said, "Hey, even though you don't believe we're gonna find you work, we're gonna find you some good work," and he's been on a rocket ship ever since, and so Coleman Domingo, love him, and he was the best part of the Candyman remake as well. I don't know
Mm.
if you ever saw that
I did
movie.
not see that one.
They remade that a few years ago. Nia DaCosta, I believe, was who directed that, and he's fantastic as sort of the laundromat guy who's there telling the origin story of Candyman. It's really good. But we're going to move on to your number 2, Tyler. Only 2 choices left. That would be Timothy Chalamet and Adrian Brody. Where are you going with the number 2 spot?
For the number 2 spot, I'm going with a movie that I wouldn't put it up for Best Picture, personally. But, without this one actor's performance in the movie, it just doesn't work. None of this works, none of it lands. Not many people know about it because, Timothy Chalamet's marketing push for A Complete Unknown has been unlike any other, and I don't think the movie is that good. I think he's great in it. He really transforms himself into Bob Dylan for this role. And if he didn't, nobody would have seen it because you got Edward Norton giving a pretty solid performance and not much other than that, other than just a standard biopic.
Yeah, the movie is, I think, very generic, very safe. I've talked about it earlier in the show today, where if like they're looking for a movie to maybe anoint Best Picture that they feel like won't create a lot of chaos, this is maybe the one to choose because The Brutalist is getting kneecapped from left and right due to the AI claims, and
Sounds
Amelia.
like they should just give it to Nora then.
It could be a Nora, but they're not fighting hard enough. I feel
Yeah, I
like
know. They are not. It's like Sean Baker and the entirety of Studio Neon is just like, yeah. I mean, I guess that's cool. We got something out
yeah,
for Best Picture.
yeah.
But I mean, Presence is coming out. We got an Honora Steelbook coming out in a couple months. That's what they've been pushing, not the votes.
Nora feels like that movie that has just upgraded from the kids table to the adult table, but they don't really want to speak. Like
Yeah, I don't know what you mean.
they're sitting there and they're like, "Oh, it's cool to be at the adult table."
I'm just gonna listen to the conversation.
Correct. That is what a Nora is doing. They are fine with sort of sitting back and letting everybody else fight it out. But a complete unknown's actually fighting. Like they're actually pushing. Like Edward Norton is pushing. Timothy Chalamet just hosted SNL this past weekend.
Yeah, and he did host and musical, correct?
That is correct, including some Bob Dylan music.
That's a heavy push
Yeah.
for Oscars.
And A Complete Unknown remains in the top 10. They're fighting, and they won it. And it
Mhm.
feels like Honora's just sort of happy to be there. And I don't understand it because Honora is probably the better pitch out of all the movies.
I think so. I absolutely think you can make a sort of more cultural
Yeah.
argument for Honora than you ever could for A Complete Unknown.
As much as I'm like, I'm not a fan of Honora.
Mhm.
I sold my stock on Wicked. I would take either one of those two movies winning Best Picture over Amelia Perez.
Yeah.
If Honora wins, part of me at first is going to be slightly annoyed, but then I'll be happy that Amelia Perez did not win. Anything but Amelia Perez.
I'm thinking Amelia Perez is just I I think the voters for the Academy want to be able to keep voting.
They
And so it's just like,
Right.
you got nominated. We did our part.
I thought about restarting Amelia Perez. I couldn't do it. It's hurt me too bad. I made it halfway through. I can't do it. That
You
movie's
actually watched The Master of Disguise with Dana Carvey over Amelia Perez, an Oscar-nominated movie.
awful. Master of Disguise got 3 stars. Amelia Perez, 0 stars because I can't get through it. It is cheeks out of 100. Okay. We are now going to move on to that number 1 spot, and that only leaves one nominee left, which, by the way, Timothée Chalamet was 5th on my personal list.
Wow.
Out of the 5, because
Okay.
I found the performance to be rather repetitive compared to these other ones. I feel like grew in the role over the course of the movie, and I found his Bob Dylan to be very good, but also
It was in the same place the whole movie.
completely repetitive.
Yeah.
Like the world's going to revolve around me. Like I'm not going to change. I'm going to force everybody else around me to change. And I just hated that.
Times are changing.
There you go.
Well,
Number 1 has to be the man we saw late last week in a performance that I'm still thinking about, Tyler.
Yep, I'm thinking about it too, and that's Adrian Brody in The Brutalist. He is charismatic on screen. Going into this movie, this wouldn't have been my pick for Best Actor or Best Picture, just based off of the premise alone and everything I knew about it. But that is to say, I didn't know much about it. After seeing the movie, I fully understand. It's an epic tale of the immigrant experience, the American dream, resilience, and going through history. I think that this is almost like a high art Forrest Gump.
Hmm.
Wow.
Interesting.
I think it's a fantastic movie. Adrian Brody displays every emotion humanly possible throughout the film, and he is my choice for Best Actor in a leading role.
Wow. So, I do want to remind everybody, Tyler was not the highest on going to see The Brutalist.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just because of the runtime alone.
Right. But I mean, that's a lot of people's thoughts, right? That's a fair
Assessment.
fair opinion to have. But a week ago, if you go back and watch a week ago, you're like, oh gosh, The Brutalist. Yeah, I guess we got to go see this because hey, I don't know, it's going to be tough to. They better have an intermission, like. And now you're like,
This better deliver. It's taking 4 hours of my day.
I've seen 140 movies in 2024, and The Brutalist's performance is the best thing I've seen all year. And you would be correct. Adrian Brody is my number 1 as well. And a lot of people, Tyler, I'd love for you to respond to this because it goes
Mhm.
right into your list. A lot of people right now are saying his work and Felicity Jones, both their work, they should be disqualified from a nomination because the nomination process happens, the news comes out that their dialect was enhanced with AI, the Hungarian dialect, and so it's not completely them. And because of that, Adrian Brody should be disqualified. Even though a majority of the dialect it was just like the stuff that no human can speak was touched up, which
Yeah.
is a huge mistake, by the way. They
It's
shouldn't
a
have
mistake on their part, but in their defense, they also Man, they were damned if they did, damned if they didn't. Because if they don't get that Hungarian dialect absolutely perfect, they're accused of whitewashing and Americanizing the tale of this Hungarian Jewish immigrant. And if they do it to get it perfectly, so people in Hungary can watch it and go, my language is being represented, then you enhance the movie. Yaga baga baga.
But why did he turn into Fozzie Bear at that?
I don't know. All of the critics of this movie uh complaining about the dialect enhancing, that's what they sound like to me.
Yeah.
If you're complaining about the sketches being AI, I think that's fair.
They complain about it. I mean, there's these complaints are. I knew the minute the story came out, this is going to be used in the Oscar campaign, and it's going to be bloody, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
going to be continued. You think it's bad now? Give it a couple more weeks, and you're going to see just full-on war over what should be Best
See,
Picture.
I don't know why Honora doesn't run with this and feel like everything in this movie's real.
No, they're the kids sitting at the table while the parents are fighting, going like,
No, Sean Baker's just like, I have made some weird movies in my day, and I'm finally getting nominated for one. This is why.
Sean Baker and Mikey Madison. It almost makes me like them more, even though I don't like the movie. Is that they're very much just like happy and chill while everybody else is throwing stones at each other.
They're like the bronze medalists. It's like made podium.
They're like a Jamaican bobsledder. It's like,
I'm here.
you don't realize how tough it was to get to this point for me. So, I mean, Honora, for some reason, doesn't have a fight in them, and I don't understand it because there's an open lane.
They need a John Candy to push them to the finish line.
You're taking my analogy and you're making it better, and I appreciate that. You're enhancing it, I should say. Which is exactly what the Brutalist is being accused of. They make the argument, the Brutalist team, that they didn't have enough time or money to hire the people to touch up the audio the way it needed to be touched up, so they turned to AI. And now that's being the thing that could potentially cut the momentum out from under them, cut their legs out from under them, and being able to stand on a potential Best Picture winner. It is going to be an all-out battle for not only Best Picture, but also Best Lead Actor. Because if The Brutalist goes down, guess who's going down with it? Adrian Brody's going down with it. Brady Corbett's going down with it. Like,
the cinematographer's going down.
Everybody.
With it. The whoever wrote the score for this movie also going down.
Yeah. Will Hollywood,
the editing team,
will Hollywood vote to push something that they fought so adamantly against a year ago? Really, a year ago.
Oof.
Will they do that? That's the question. And that's what we're waiting to see. And we won't know until the envelope is opened. Like, if Brady Corbet wins Best Director, The Brutalist is almost a lock. But if anybody else wins Best Director, The Brutalist is pretty much, I think, done at that point. So we're going to know in the Best Director when it gets opened up who's going to win Best Picture, or who at least is not going to win Best Picture. But I am fascinated by The Brutalist. I think it's a tremendous feat. $11 million to make that movie? Are you kidding me? No wonder they turned to AI for a couple things, because that's a shoestring budget for a movie of this scale. It's an epic experience. Tyler and I both went in knowing it was an endurance test, but loving the conversation it spurred. You can catch that conversation here on the channel. We have our first full spoiler review up for you. It's about as long as the movie, so enjoy that. But I really love your list, Tyler. I think you put a lot of thought into it, which is very good. But Adrian Brody, while he's both of our top choice, it's all a PR politics campaign right now.
If the Academy doesn't want to have any controversy, here's what they should do. Dune Part 2 for Best Picture.
Yeah.
Give that the win. Best Cinematography, Dune Part 2.
Yeah.
Best Director, it's Denis Villeneuve sneaking up from behind stage with the steel chair.
Yeah, he's cashing in his Money in the Bank. I don't think it works that way. It would be very entertaining, but I don't think it works that way. But we'll see. As we get closer
and
to
Timothée Chalamet for Best Actor for Dune Part 2.
Look, Timothée Chalamet, he wants this.
He does. He
wants it bad, and it would make him the youngest to ever win in this category. This is his second Oscar nomination.
Mm-hmm. He's nominated for Beautiful Boy, right?
I believe so, yes. And he has become the youngest two-time Best Actor nominee since James Dean. So he's in some rare air there. Timothée Chalamet, at the end of his career, could go down as one of the best of all time. I just don't think we give it to him now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's time now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm all about rewarding young talent. But like Ralph Fiennes has never won an Oscar. He's one of the greatest working actors today. He's never won an Oscar.
Yep.
This would be the chance for the Academy to go like, okay, I think Sebastian Stan and Timothy Chalamet may both fall into the category of they're too young, they got more time. And Coleman Domingo, even though he's a back-to-back nominee, I just think he's potentially outgunned with celebrity from some of the other participants. So Ralph Fiennes, I think, is the dark horse to win this award, but we'll see. We'll see.
You might not recognize the name, EG, but if you want to champion somebody, I recommend you champion Ralph Fiennes because he was in a lot of movies you like, all a part of the same franchise.
Which ones?
Harry Potter. He was Voldemort.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
EG was like, now who did he play in Scooby-Doo?
No, literally, I was like Legally Blonde. Well,
He embodied the role of Scooby-Doo in a way that no other actor could.
No, he's fantastic as Voldemort.
yeah.
Great movie discussion today. Really enjoyed it. But EG,
Yeah,
there's no doubt tomorrow is your day to shine. Potentially.
potentially.
Because it could be Mystery Box Tuesday.
Okay.
So we'll either do that Tuesday or Wednesday. It depends on if like something crazy happens tomorrow, we'll shift gears and cover the news cycle. But if not, we've got a DVD mystery box to open up. So it should be a lot of fun. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Just hit 1.6K. Really appreciate all of you that have made that happen. And we are on the road to, I think we're getting close to 200,000 total views since we started this
Wow.
thing. So we are on the cusp of getting there. Pretty soon we'll be at 250,000 views
That's awesome.
here on the Meltdown. So wouldn't be possible without you guys there in Meldonia, and we really appreciate it. We'd also really appreciate it if you go sign up for MyBookie. Use that promo code next round, where you can bet on anything, anywhere, anytime with our friends at MyBookie. Maybe sports betting's not your thing. They got the live casino there for you at mybookie.ag. Just make sure you use that promo code next round for that first time deposit bonus. Tyler, this was a fun one. Enjoyed it very much and enjoying heading to the movies tonight. We'll be going to see an AMC Scream Unseen. So this will be a horror movie. We have no idea exactly what it is, but we're leaning towards it's probably Companion.
Probably Companion. Chance for it to be Hard Eyes. I've also heard of some movie called It's Knife to Meet You or something like that. It's something along those lines, but I haven't heard of that. I haven't even seen that on the AMC app, so I don't think it's that.
All three movies that EG will never see.
Ever.
That's true.
Nope.
You don't even like television commercials that promote these movies.
I don't. I wish there was a setting to turn them off.
Okay. Well, there's not. But as horror fans, we're going to continue to champion them, and we appreciate you just sharing the same space with us here in the Culver studio. Stop by Culver's, by the way. They got some great butter burgers. You're going to enjoy those there. Tyler, you love the onion rings at Culver's.
The onion rings at Culver's. All right, here's your line of lean in, EG.
Oh, wow.
Best onion rings you can ever find in this world.
Wow.
You ever bite into an onion ring and the onion just falls out? Not a problem at Culver's. This thing is crunchy. It's got a good amount of batter. It is tasty. Get some signature sauce to dunk it in. Even better. Greatest thing in the world.
Head to Culver's of Birmingham or Culver's of Hoover and enjoy Culver's. Tell them the Meltdown sent you. We would be very appreciative of that. All right, that's going to do it for us here on the Meltdown. Hit that thumbs up button for us if you haven't already, and we will see you again tomorrow live, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern.